Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with yours truly, Tom Alvarez. My guest on today's Part 2 episode about the new indie film, Dirty Laundry, are Indiana natives Mitchell Wray and Charlie Schultz. They are two young actors who are co-starring in the movie. Join me now as I go on the aisle for my conversation with Mitchell and Charlie. Welcome, Mitchell and Charlie. So happy that you could join me today. And you are calling from Savannah, Georgia, are you not?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
And for those listening, this is a Zoom call, so I'm looking at your art on the walls behind you in your brand new apartment, correct?
Yup.
So tell my listeners, and then we'll get into how it is that we know each other and what we're going to talk about. But tell my listeners a bit about yourselves. Why are you in Savannah, Georgia? Why don't you go first, Charlie?
Yeah. So, I think it all started. Well, I moved to Savannah College of Art and Design, and so does Mitchell. And there we both studied film and television. And my whole journey really started when I was probably, like the second grade. And it was just, I grew up with an older brother and an older sister. My older sister was very involved in ballet, and my older brother was very involved in lots of different sports. And so I was the youngest kid, and I had about a 7-8 year age difference between both of them. So because of that, I spent a lot of time going to their sporting events and ballet recitals, and I would spend a lot of time on my phone, and I would just watch movies and television. And I really just fed that into myself so much that it became like my whole life and everything I really cared about. And so I knew from probably like the second or third grade that that's something that I really wanted to pursue, was to create film and to entertain. And it was a mix of wanting to entertain and be on the side of the camera, and also want to be behind the camera. To this day, I have a love for both of those things. And so the first college that kind of came to mind wasn't SCAD, but I wanted to go to NYU. But when it came time to apply to colleges, I didn't get into NYU's film school, but I got into SCAD's, and SCAD really looks like the best option, because when I went there, I discovered that each and every kid there was studying something in the creative field. And you really got this idea that, wow, every single person here is doing something creative. It's almost like religious being here, because everybody's putting all this love and effort into art. So that was very beautiful for me. And so right away I decided I wanted to go to school here. And yeah.
Where's school? Where are you attending school? You and Mitchell?
Savannah College of Art and Design.
Okay. Well, not too shabby. So you both are from Central Indiana. Where did you both go to high school? Mitchell, where did you go to high school?
I went to University High School.
Okay. Charlie?
I went to Westfield High School.
And you guys did not know each other?
No.
I had heard the name Charlie Schultz through my sister, but I didn't know who he was at the time.
And we should tell our audience that Amelia Wray is your twin, and the two of you have a lot in common, including that she is a singer, but she's also an actor. And I would say, Mitchell, you're more of a multidisciplinary artist than she is, because you're involved in lots of stuff, and we'll get into that in a bit. Okay, so how did you meet, the two of you?
We were just walking outside of our freshman campus at the time, and we'd exchange conversations through like Instagram, that we had the intention of meeting each other because we both found out online that we were both filmmakers from Carmel, Indiana, or that same little hemisphere of Indiana. Yeah. And so we ran into each other. We already knew what each other looked like just through seeing each other's pictures online and whatnot. And it was kind of just like surreal that, you know, we had like been talking for like 2 weeks beforehand and just like randomly ran into each other both on our way to classes. And Charlie often says that I'm a lot shorter than he expected.
It is very surreal for me because when I saw Mitchell's height compared to how I'd seen him on Instagram, I was like, wow, he's a little shorter than I thought. But yeah, right away, I had seen Mitchell on Instagram probably a month or two before I went to college, and I saw that he was going to the same college as me and everything. And we kind of talked on Instagram like a very little bit. But when I even saw Mitchell on Instagram, I was so excited because I could see that it was somebody who was like me. A lot of the kids that I saw that were going to my college seemed to be like kind of out there. And Mitchell just seemed to be just like a normal dude like me. So that really, yeah.
Well, you know, I believe in fate, and I believe in destiny, and I believe that people cross each other's paths for another reason. And do you guys believe that too, or do you think this is just all random, that you two like would hook up the way you did, or meet up, I should say?
I 100% agree with you. I just think the fact that we both have had the same dreams and ambitions, you know, since our childhood, but that we like went on different paths and now met at Savannah is just a crazy coincidence. It's too good to be true.
And Charlie, do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do. So I have an older brother and an older sister as well.
Okay. Sounds like you have another brother now.
Yeah, and I really do. We really do everything together. We go work out together. Even, I mean, the whole summer, like every single day, I'd spend it with Mitchell. So we really do everything together. And like a good phrase I like to say, it's like man sharpens man as iron sharpens his best friend. It's something like that. There's a phrase like that. And I believe it's very true because we really do, I feel, like sharpen each other, and constantly being around Mitchell, you know, motivates me to work harder. And I think it's the same for him.
Wow.
Now that we're
iron sharpens iron as a man sharpens his friend. That's
there you go.
And now you are, that's what we're getting into. The main point of this interview is to promote your new film in which both of you appear, co-stars, I would say. Is that correct?
Indeed.
Sir.
Okay, so well, spill it. Let our audiences hear about this film, Dirty Laundry.
Yeah. So it's about these two friends who are starting a business together. They should be going into their freshman year of college, but both of them have decided that they're not going to take the safe route of going to college, and that they want to start a company doing backdrops for different occasions for people. The film takes place in the 90s, and it's very trying to fit in all those 90s vibes and the memories and all the things that wrap around the 90s. And it starts off as a story that seems very silly and lighthearted, but it turns into a serious drama eventually. So it starts off kind of fantasy where these boys get these magical coins from this woman, and once they put the coins in the machine, they can't lie to each other. And it starts off kind of silly, but the things that start coming out between them are very serious, and so it really turns into a drama. It goes from kind of a fantasy film to a real drama.
Like you would imagine or have experienced yourself, like even best friends sometimes hold these serious things from each other that they're afraid might, you know, harm their relationship or take it in a different turn. And that's why I think this story is so powerful, and I think why it resonates with a lot of people, including me and Charlie. And yeah.
How were you approached? And I guess we should talk first, though, about, and shout out to the director, Rocky Walls. How did the two of you come into his orbit?
Yeah, so I think Rocky found me online or, through my old agency and saw a bunch of photos of me when I was a child actor, of course, back in the day. So I think he saw the pictures of me on Disney Channel and whatnot and had reached out to my old agency and asked them, like, hey, is this kid still around? Is he still acting? And they didn't really have an answer for him since I took such a long hiatus and break from acting. So he reached out directly to my mom through social media. And, she had told me about it. She said that there was this director that was interested in sitting down and talking to me and, to audition for this role as Kyle Miller in Dirty Laundry. And I was a little hesitant at first, I didn't know if I wanted to jump back into the film world. I was originally going to major in fashion design at school, which has since changed, but we can get a little more into that. Yeah, so I sat down and talked to Rocky over the summer before coming down to Savannah. And he pretty much told me, that production would start in the months of winter or like during my winter break. And, just pretty much left me with the script and with those thoughts and told me to, go look over it and read it and see what I thought about it and get back to him and let him know if it was something I'd be interested in doing. And he left me with this remark before I went down to Savannah that all he needed after finding me was another boy to be the same age as me, to be a teenager, a Latino, all these specific, archetypes. And so I was like, yeah, sure. What a coincidence that I'm going to find some kid in Savannah, Georgia, that happens to live in Indiana or nearby that's also an actor. It just seemed like too far of a reality. And I, met Charlie, and I think within one of the first few days of meeting him, I asked him, I was like, are you like an actor or, would you ever want to like be in a movie or something? Because I had seen him, I saw he was Latino. We talked about it a little bit. And it's kind of scary asking that question to someone that you just met. It's like, people are here for different artistic and creative reasons. So I honestly wasn't sure whether or not he was an actor. And to my surprise, he was like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Like, I'll audition for this movie. Sure. Why not? And everything just fell into place.
Wow. Talk about being anything but random. I mean, that's just remarkable. So, Charlie, when Mitchell presented this to you, it sounds like there was no hesitancy on your part.
Not at all. I wanted that opportunity for a really long time to really do anything on screen. I had done Christian youth theater growing up, starting in like 5th grade, and that was really the only production company I was a part of, except for doing high school musicals. And so when he gave me that opportunity and told me about that, and I was immediately in.
So tell me about working with Rocky. Now, I've met Rocky, and we have a great deal in common, including the fact that up until this is his first feature film, correct? He makes documentaries, and he's been very successful in creating a string of documentaries. And I used to make documentaries, and so I was really interested in it. It's not unusual for documentarians, to make feature films eventually. It's all about good storytelling. So what was it like working with Rocky?
Yeah.
What kind of a director was he?
Well, I like what you said about documentary artists and storytelling. I really think that since Rocky is used to telling documentary stories, he's used to telling these real thick, true stories, because we're working in documentary work, he's focused all on these people. And when it comes to being a director, from what I've learned from him is that you really need to put your actors first. You need to be there with your actors and really know everything about how they're experiencing stuff and how they're feeling about these lines and how they're feeling about these characters that they have to become. And that's something Rocky did extremely well, is he had these amazing communication skills of getting stories out of people that he had developed through documentary work, and he was able to use those skills to craft us to really fit the characters in the way that he wanted them to be.
No, he's a great communicator.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
I, of course, relate and identify with all of that because I've directed both. And I know that, and I'm also an actor. I don't know if Rocky acted, but it's all about communicating. And it seems to me that directors who work in documentary format, they're used to reality and they can help you as an actor achieve that, can they not?
Absolutely. I think a huge part
in the moment acting, like James Dean, he started this revolution of teaching actors not to be fake, not to be phony. Don't look like you're acting. Just be in the moment.
Exactly. I think a huge part, too, of being a good communicator, too, is being a good listener and a good observer and watcher of people. And I think that's just something that Rocky has naturally become so talented at, like through his entire, work of working on documentaries. Because when you do a documentary, you've got like a loose script, but it's not like you're writing out like a narrative, like word for word, what's going to happen. It all kind of just comes together in the filming process, being around these people and letting them share their story. And that's where the story really comes about. And I think get an interesting take on this film, because not only did we later find out that it was loosely based on a true story, but also he was watching me and Charlie and he got to know us before we started filming. So we did months of Zoom rehearsals, where he would just talk to us for a certain amount of hours and then we would get into it and rehearse our lines. So he really understood. By the time we were getting ready to film, he really understood who we were as people, what our true intentions were, what our mannerisms were like. And he kind of helped us bring those to light when we were filming. Of course, you want to be as natural as possible, but it's easy to rehearse lines over and over, and it just sounds dramatized and theatrical. And so he really helped to reel us in and bring our truest selves out of it.
That's so interesting. This didn't happen in the COVID era, right? This is afterwards. But the fact that you did rehearsals on Zoom, I mean, a lot of creative work was done during COVID on Zoom. So it's so interesting. Well, you didn't really have any choice. If you wanted to do that work, you had to do it online because you were down there. And
Yeah, we were in college still.
Yeah. Well, that is just really, really interesting. Fascinating, actually, that you were able to do all that prep work online. So let's talk about, I saw on Facebook today, did you see the post where it sounded like he got his first review. And you complimented him on the script.
Yeah. I saw we've got a couple reviews up on Rotten Tomatoes now. And
we have?
Publishing, yeah.
It's already out there for previewing by critics and so on and so forth?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So when does it premiere?
It is going to premiere. The world premiere is going to be at Heartland Film Festival at Newfields in Indianapolis on October 13th.
Oh, that's fantastic. Mitchell, your mother, Chauncey Wray, who also happens to be your manager, clued me in that she did not know the premiere date yet. And apparently I was invited, and so I can't wait now that I know when it is. So you're going to have a red carpet and all of the trappings?
I think so, yeah. We actually just found out. We just found out last night. So I think
that is so cool. How are you guys excited?
Super excited. Me and Charlie both got the privilege to attend a premiere called The Duel. Not sure if you heard about that.
I saw it on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. It was huge in Indiana, especially since...
Did you meet Gordon Strain?
We did. He's great. He's a great
Isn't he amazing?
Yeah.
Yes.
He teaches theater, scene design at Franklin College, right?
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He's a long theater. He used to do sets for the Indiana Repertory Theater. And
wow, that's crazy.
He does scene design for the college, for its theater department. And so I don't know when he got into filmmaking, but yeah, he's a consummate artist. So,
oh, yeah.
And you got to meet all the people involved with Pegasus, right?
Oh, yeah. They're awesome. They're really inspiring, especially for me and Charlie, just since, they're based out of Indiana and they were once boys like us with, huge dreams and ambitions, and they're bringing it to fruition. They're bringing it to life. So,
well, let's cross our fingers that you guys get involved one way or another, behind the scenes or on the screen. Could happen.
That would be great. That'd be
Yeah, I've been keeping
cool people.
track of them because, them being homegrown. And I understand they, I'm sworn to secrecy, but I understand they've got some really exciting projects coming along that will benefit artists in Indiana. So hopefully you guys will get some work back home. What can you tell me about the distribution of this film? Will he enter this film in festivals, or how's he going to get it out?
So it's being entered in festivals, and right now we're kind of figuring out which festivals got into, which ones it didn't. But I think after that cycle, we'll figure out about distribution and where people will be able to find it.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a sure thing to be in Heartland. They're premiering it, so you can't go wrong with that. They're becoming more and more widely known. Does Savannah have a film festival?
Yeah, we have the SCAD Film Festival, which actually is part of our college, and a bunch of like celebrities fly down and they do a huge red carpet premiere. Fingers crossed, we're waiting to hear whether or not our film is going to premiere at SCAD Film Fest, but we'll take what we can get.
Well, your students, I would think that they would want to promote you.
I would think so too. That was episode.
Keep me posted on that. So
absolutely.
Let's talk about both of you. So Mitchell, for sake of transparency, I'd like to tell our listeners, you and I go way back.
We
to
do.
The time when you were 9 years old and you originated a role in a production which I co-created with my business partner, Dustin Klein. I think by now my listeners know that, I've got my fingers in a lot of pies, including Dustin and I created an original musical called Calder the Musical, and it was about the sculptor Alexander Calder. And who knew that a musical about a sculpture would be entertaining? Well, we like to think that we captured the life of this artist who was, had a very magical theatrical life. And anyway, you played the younger Alexander Calder. And I'll never forget your audition. We still talk about it, Dustin and me, how it was held at the Civic Theater in one of their studios. And you were 8 by then. You weren't 9 when you started. I believe so, but you just act like you owned the place. You were such a pro. I mean, you just walked up, stood in front of us at our table. You were not the least bit inhibited. And I think the copy you did was for a PSA of some kind that you had appeared in. And you just nailed it. And we looked at each other and said, who is this kid? But, even before that, I actually technically met you when you played in the Velveteen Rabbit at the children's play. And I'll never forget, I met your mom and dad, and your mom came up to me, bless her heart. I knew then that she was a manager type because she schmoozed me, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I wrote a review, and then, your mom stayed in touch, and she told me that it was your very first review. And so I'm very proud of that. And then, of course, we did a production of Calder at the Indie Fringe that year. And then you got signed to a contract for Finding Neverland, the musical. And then you were off to New York, and then you traveled the country. Then you got the lead role. I mean, it was astounding. Those couple of years.
Oh, well, thank you, Tom, for everything. You really geared me and set me on the right path to be able to accomplish, such big dreams at a young age.
Oh, listen, I was just one of the village of people who supported you over the years in Indy. Don't you agree with that? It takes a village.
I think it takes a village, but I think it takes, leaders in that village to really set you down the right trail and
I mean, come on. I have an ego like every other artist. I feel really good that,
You should, Tom.
I can claim to be one of the people who discovered you, for God's sake. So I'm very proud of that. And so is Dustin. But anyway, so then fast forward, our paths keep crossing, and then, of course, your sister Amelia, it's the same thing. I have watched your career And now to see that you completed your first film is just really satisfying to know that you're an adult now and you're continuing. You're continuing on this path of using, especially your acting talent. Of course, you dropped out for a little while. And then I have to add to that, I talked you to coming back on stage to play a small part in a production of The Goss Menagerie.
Yeah, that's true.
That was put on by our company, Magic the Cabaret and Catalyst. And that alone did not reinforce your desire to go back to acting, did it? But it was part of it, was it not?
I think it was part of the domino effect that eventually brought me back out of my shell. You know, I'd been out of acting for, 3-4 years maybe at that point, and I knew that I still wanted to do something in the film world. I just wanted to take my studies in high school seriously, and learn how to be a kid for a little bit and just kind of be out of it. But no, like I said, like it was like a domino effect, because I had no intention of returning to theater at all. And, you presented the role and told me to think about it. And I did a lot of thinking and, realized that it would be good for me. And, it was only a small scene, but it was an important scene.
Yeah. And you really made a difference. There are so many people who told me that when they see you and I knew this, people who know me know that I'm also a theater critic. So of all the hats I wear, and you truly are an actor. When you come on stage or when you're on film, people can't take their eyes off of you. That is not everyone has that talent. So Charlie, let's talk about you. So brag on yourself. I want to get to know you. And by the way, do you get a lot of commentary about that dimple that you have?
Yeah. I'll have two of them. I guess the one.
Oh, you have. I can't see the other one.
Yeah, it's a depressing thing that's starting to happen. When as a young kid, I had both of them, but now this right one's it's going down a lot. It's still kind of there.
It's gonna get you movie roles. I predict that.
I hope so. I think I'm a guy with only a left dimple. So
yeah. So tell me about your trajectory. Did you you mentioned you were in musicals like in high school and stuff. Did you start early? Tell me about yourself.
For me, I think it all just started because, I think it starts with my mother. My mother was an opera singer. She also played the flute in Chicago. And so that was kind of like, being brought into this world from a mother who was in kind of like that little bit of the entertainment world brought something into me. And so when I was really little, like starting first grade, I started singing and got really into singing in choir. And I'm a pastor's kid originally. My dad's not a pastor anymore, but we used to move around a lot. So I really grew up as this kid, like, to talk a lot because I was around a lot of different people and I was in the church and around all these different people. And that really led me into being this talkative kid at school. And at some point, I think around 3rd or 4th grade, we had moved so I was born in Illinois and then I moved to Nebraska and then I moved to Minnesota and then I moved to Valparaiso, Indiana. And so we had just moved to Valparaiso, Indiana, and I was in, around the 3rd grade. And my mother said that I should start getting into acting. And so it was there where I started doing some like elementary school, like acting stuff. And then in the 5th grade, when I moved to Westfield, Indiana, I started to get involved with the CYT theater. And they did 12 Angry Men. And it was with kids from the ages of like 8 all the way up to seniors in high school. And I got the role as the main antagonist there. And that for me was like the first acting opportunity I had. And it made my whole life. It was the biggest thing for me ever. I mean, like going on stage and really getting to entertain people and to get into that character was a really beautiful, fun thing for me. And so after that, I kept doing CYT. And then once I got to middle school, I did Bye Bye Birdie and I played Albert in that. And that was awesome as well. And during that time, I also, I don't know, I was involved in a lot of extracurriculars. I also was playing soccer and football, and I'd gotten 4 concussions by the time I was,
Wow.
I stopped going to high school. So by the time I was a sophomore in high school, my parents were like, you can't play sports anymore. Like, you'll get another injury and that can be really bad for you. So
Yeah.
I stopped playing sports, and I got into things like student government, and I joined the media team at my high school. And yeah, so I did another play in high school called I Hate Shakespeare, and it was a comedic. It was at the Cat Theater, I believe.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
Cat. We did shows there, and yeah, I'm quite familiar with it.
It's a fun theater. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got to, it was more like a comedic play, but acting, everything was like just this huge part of my life, even beyond being in those plays and everything. Because
Yeah.
growing up, around the family dinner table and around the BA class, I was always trying to make people laugh. I was always trying to entertain. And I feel like a lot of times people think that you can only practice acting on stage. And I think that acting is a part of life. I think that entertaining is a part of life, that it's something that we're practicing and we're doing all the time, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one of those.
When I met you, I was just, you have a presence, and you seem to be, you have an openness about you that I predict will do well for you in your career with people that you meet in the show business. You're very approachable, and you have a kindness about you, which will go a long way, I think, in the business. But also, would you consider yourself a serious actor? I mean, is it business to you? I mean, do you focus on what you do?
Yeah, of course.
If you're an athlete, that you can carry a lot of those qualities into this as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, growing up in school, I was kind of the jack of all trades. I was a freshman and sophomore class president as well.
Yeah.
I was just kind of all over the place, and I went to a really big school. So I was just this really social guy, and I really just wanted to really know everybody. Yeah, I'd still very much call myself a serious actor. I think openness is like one of the biggest reasons I'd call myself a serious actor, because I think a lot of times people like to close themselves off for their own prideful reasons, thinking that they're better than people. But when it comes to acting, I believe that you can't do that at all. You really have to just fully put yourself out there.
And I presume you also feel the same way about filmmaking now.
I agree. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
I'm of a mind that you can do it all. When people say, well, maybe thinking you're a jack of all trades and a master of none, don't ever believe that, because I feel that people think you have to fit one definition, but it's not true. You can do anything you put your mind to. And it's all related. It's all communication, storytelling, I think. Do you agree?
Yeah. And I think all the arts are related too. And it's what gets me like so excited to wake up in the morning. It's the only reason I've been able to like get up so early now, is because being back here gets me so excited, riled up, being a part of all the arts. And even our director, Rocky, while we were filming Dirty Laundry, because we filmed mostly all of it overnight in a laundromat. And I'd be like, Rocky, how are you? He's so much more awake than everybody else. I'm like, Rocky, why are you so awake? And he was like, this is like the most exciting thing in the world to me. It's like, just doing it is like drinking, this.
Oh, yeah.
Life, this glass.
That's where you want to get as an artist. You cannot wait till the next day to do the work. And you wake up, it's like, oh God, I can't believe I get to do this. Yeah. So that laundry for both of you, I may have told you this, Mitchell, but I actually did my laundry there for 3 years.
Yeah, I did tell me that.
I lived nearby, and I had a washer, but I didn't have a dryer. And back then, I was just starting my career. I didn't have a lot of money, so I had to schlep down to the laundromat on Keystone, which is about a couple of blocks from my house on 46th Street. So yes, I spent a lot of time in there people watching. The people watching was just great. But it was also, I read a lot. I remember I always took a book with me because that was, before iPhones, of course. But so when I heard that you were filming in that particular laundromat, I just was amazed. So you guys shot at night after the place was closed, huh? Is that right?
Yeah, we did. They wanted to keep, the laundromat open during all hours of the day since, even though it is older vintage style, like there are still many people that go there every single day to do their laundry. So yeah, we shot it starting at, I believe, 8 p.m. every night. We would show up and they would be closing it down, hurrying people to get out. And then we would film until, sometimes 5, 6, 7,
And
8.
all of the actors that you work with were all local, were they not?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. I think there were a handful of them that maybe came down from Chicago.
Okay.
Or, but all in the Midwest region.
Like 2 of them.
Yeah, did he hire SAG actors?
Nope.
Or professional actors? Okay. Were they all like theater actors for the most part?
I think so. I think it's, it's commercial work.
I happen to think theater actors have they bring something to the table that film actors who've never had theater actors, I think they've got, I think that they have their background makes their performances sometimes more authentic. That's my take on it. But what do you think?
I think it definitely helps confidence and presence, and it definitely, it definitely helps practicing acting and putting yourself out there and exploring different characters. But I've actually found that, doing theater has almost, wanted to make me more of a naturally theatrical person on camera. And, and you can see a little bit of that in Dirty Laundry in my acting. But I've talked about this with like Charlie and my director, and it doesn't do a disservice to the film.
Of course,
because we are playing these characters that are rambunctious. But like Charlie,
theater actors have to learn how to pull back. They're used to doing these big expressive kind of things. So it's great to be able to jump from from one to another. I predict by the time you guys are professionals, you're going to be doing it all, because these days, most performers, if you can sing, you want to sing, and you want to be a cabaret concert, movie star, theater actor, and do it all, and direct. And more and more people like that, though. That's the reality. To be marketable. And so I've been to Savannah. I love Savannah. Have you guys gotten around to reading the Midnight in the Garden of Evil?
Book? I haven't. I've heard of it, though, and I heard it takes place in Savannah.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of this. Tell me a little bit about it.
Oh, it's kind of a murder mystery, but it really delves into real-life people who at one time lived in Savannah. It was about a murder. Oh, I can't remember, but it was someone very famous. And actually, the house is like, one of those gorgeous houses on one of those parks where the fountains are. Do you love Savannah? I mean, are you guys into architecture and history?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Have you explored much of it?
I'd say so, yeah. It's absolutely beautiful here. And when we were looking for an apartment, we really wanted to be close to Forsyth Park, which is just a block away from us. And it's
Forsyth. That you mentioned that. Is that a fame? It sounds really familiar.
Yeah, so it's this really big park. The whole thing, like around the whole thing, is a mile around the whole thing.
They're like squares. Oh, they don't remind me.
Yes.
Get up squares with plazas
and then there's Forsyth. So there's all these little squares, and then there's one big square, which is Forsyth.
There you go. Okay. I knew we
these huge mossy trees, and they're absolutely beautiful. The mossy trees here. So,
and tell me about Savannah, your university. Is it everything you thought it would be?
Yes, Savannah College of Art and Design.
So tell me about it. Is it everything you thought it would be, or more or less?
I think it's great. I think it's super cool to have access to all these amazing like artistry and creative programs, but not be in a place like New York City or Los Angeles. Like most of our, if not, I don't want to say all, but I would say most of our professors, all of them are working in their field still, but most of them, have experience working at schools like NYU, like USC, Parsons, these huge creative schools that are known for what they are and in these like huge cities. So it's almost like we're getting a taste of that just being in this small, cutesy sort of like, Southern Belle town. And it's really cool. I feel like it keeps us A, not distracted, and B, it keeps us constantly inspired, in this different environment that not everyone is just, jumping to.
Yeah, and the student body, your fellow students come from all over the world, do they not?
Yeah, all over us.
17% of the kids that go here actually come from out of the country too. So it's a lot of kids that come from abroad, and with that comes kids that are very motivated, sometimes coming from, third world countries and places, and they come here to follow their dreams. And so being around those type of people, sessions, extremely.
No, it sounds like it's extremely competitive. I know that you're both good students. Are you still good students? Have you remained good students?
We try.
Okay, tell me the truth. What is the party atmosphere at Savannah? I mean, it's part of college, so spill the beans. Spill the beans.
The atmosphere, I would say, is pretty almost non-existent. We don't have fraternities or sororities, so because of that, and the college is not. It's all around the city. There's no main campus. So because of that, people will go out on like the main strip that the tourists will go out on and go to bars there and everything. But other than that, it's almost
so it's a bar culture.
Yeah,
you hang out.
Bar culture. Yeah.
You have your favorites, and what are they?
We can't name those, we can't disclose those places, but, we do our fair share of work and play. What's that quote? It's all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy or something.
No, but really, it's part of college life. That's how that's how you learn to interact with people, and I think it's important to be well-rounded,
We're smart and we're focused, so...
your parents will be listening to this, so hopefully. Back to the film, though, what are your hopes it will do for your careers, for people to see this film? I think it's a given what you hope, but tell me in your own words what you hope the film, the exposure alone, I'm sure you will, appreciate, but what else?
For me at least, I think already on the level, like on this level before a lot of people even see it, I already feel very blessed. I tell my children all the time that we had a movie that encapsulates our youth of us at this age. And I think that that's something beyond promoting myself and everything that I appreciate a lot. That one day, 20, 30, 40 years from now, I'll have this hour-long piece of cinema that I'll be able to sit with and watch and say, this was a part of my youth. This had parts of my youth that were true in it. Like, this is a part of the history of me. And so for me, that's something that's extremely beautiful.
That's a really cool outlet.
And everything on top of that is just, the icing on the cake. But with viewers, I'd hope that with those that are watching, with people that are watching that are my age, I'd hope that they read the cinema just with more love and more compassion, I think, and more connectivity, and showing that we're not that different from each other. Because I think one of the main things that the film shows between me and Mitchell's characters is that our characters are very different in a lot of ways, and they come from different home lives and different lifestyles and families. And at the end of the day, what you'll find out watching the film is that they're still very similar in so many ways, and they're still brothers in so many other ways.
So, Mitchell, what about you? What do you hope people will take away?
Yeah, well, kind of just adding on to what Charlie was saying, I mean, the film ultimately is about companionship and how every friendship isn't going to necessarily fit in the same mold. You know what I mean? People have different needs and desires and wants and expectations. And, you have to explore that on your own, with your friend. And there's going to be challenges that arise and things that go on that you just have to figure out. And that's why it's really cool to get to see a glimpse into Eric and Kyle's almost adulthood. They're becoming young adults and figuring out these weird feelings and things that are going on in their lives with each other. And I just ultimately hope that this film hits home with a lot of people, and I hope it resonates with audiences. I hope it makes people comfortable. I hope it makes people uncomfortable. I hope everyone that watches the movie has something different to say about it, because sure, it's a story and, it's a narrative and the film is what it is, but I think there's a lot of different things that can be picked up on from the movie that people might see and me and Charlie haven't even picked up on.
So I want to leave you now with an opportunity to give a shout out to your parents. I've met your parents, Charlie, briefly at, there was a party that Rocky, your director, held last year. So it was the rap party and I was invited and I met your parents briefly. And of course, I've known Mitchell's parents, Corey and Chauncey, and of course, the lovely, talented Amelia, again, since he was 8. So I know quite a bit about them, but I know that both of your parents have been huge influences on you. So is there anything that you want to say about them, share with the audience? Because, supportive parents counts a lot when you're in school. And you guys certainly seem to have gotten just tremendous support. So why don't you tell me a bit about how your parents helped you, Charlie?
Yeah. Well, I
Well, you mentioned already your mother, the opera singer, and your father, the pastor, right there.
Yeah. They're very different. But I think with my father, I just have to be so thankful for how different they are and how they juxtapose each other. Because with my father, he's just the most down-to-earth man I've ever met. And he's so calm and open with people and open to hear perspectives and to hear anything anybody has to say. And he can come off sometimes as very calm and almost timid, but it's because he's only listening and that's all he's doing. And I think that that's one of the toughest and most beautiful skills that somebody can have, is just being able to really just fully listen to somebody and fully put their own personality and ego and everything aside and just fully listen.
That's going to serve you well when it gets to a point, if and when, and I say probably, it's a fait accompli that someday you may have to struggle with fame and what that means. And it sounds like you have parents who will keep you grounded. In my experience, if you got that going for you, if you're surrounded by people you can trust and who keep your ego in check, that's going to go a long way.
Yeah. And with my mother, she's just the boldest person ever. And I thank her for her boldness and how she speaks her mind. Whenever I go to the grocery store with my mom or I go anywhere, she'll talk to anybody and tell them anything that she's thinking. And she always taught me just to not be afraid, to just be brave and speak your mind. And
I love that. I love directness.
Yeah. And I think that's both my parents being like that is one of the reasons that I am such a dreamer. And I want to, and Mitchell too, with his parents, the reason that we're these dreamers and we want to achieve these big things and not go down this, route in life where we don't go with our real passions and we go and get a job that doesn't really interest us. Like, no, we want to be in this creative field and we really dream that stuff. And it's because of our parents and the boldness of achieving your dreams that will push into us.
And Mitchell, speaking of directness, tell me about your mom and dad and your family.
Yeah, well, just as well as I do that without any of them, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I wouldn't have met you when I was 9 years old. You know what I mean? My mom wouldn't have had the opportunity to schmooze up to you like you mentioned earlier. My mom was great because she's always networking, and I really call her my momager because she's my mom and manager at the same time, which, you know, sometimes gets a little...
I keep telling her she's got to go into business and start with those clients.
Well, that would be awesome. I know she's thinking about that, but you know, family and business sometimes can get a little elbowy. You know, sometimes you just want your family and your business separate, but ultimately, I think it's done nothing but great things for me. Who is going to be your number one supporter or networker other than your own mother? She saw it in me before, you know, I even saw it in myself, and you knew that I wanted to do filmmaking and acting. My dad is a hard worker. He's a firefighter. Neither of my parents are artists. And just the fact that they've supported me on this journey and trusted me, and I've trusted them every step of the way, has just gone to show the amazing things that they've been able to do and help me accomplish. They're great people.
And how about your other half? Because she is your other half.
She is my best friend in the whole entire world. Amelia
That
Wray.
picture I saw of the two of you on Facebook, they really captured your bond, you know? You were hugging each other in front of your refrigerator in your kitchen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Your mom told me that they had stopped in to see you, or they were taking her to school, or they were taking you to school. I can't remember.
Oh, she's the best. I strive to be as talented and as confident and social and trusting as she is. She's really just like, she's a pillar in my life. And
well, I predict that you're going to make a film and starring Amelia Wray someday.
You know, that's the plan. That's the plan.
I've always told her I think that she should do the life story of Natalie Wood.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I see a biopic in her future because she looks just like her. And she's got the chops to pull that off. Anyway, that's my prediction.
Well, if you write it, you know, let us know. Or if the writers of that future film are listening in on this, hey, we've got your talent.
You just never know. You guys, it's been a blast talking to you, and I can't wait to see you on the big screen. And, you know, I look forward to just following your careers and, you know, seeing what unfolds. You know, you have all of the qualities that one needs for success, and show business is not easy to tackle, you know, because you have all the support you're getting, the groundedness that you have surrounding you, and just you both have a lot of confidence, which goes a long way. So thank you for taking the time. Well, listen, I will see you on the red carpet.
Hey, we'll see you there, Tom. Thanks for having us.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.